Hope you had good rest.
Oh, I did have a good rest, bro.
But I'm saying so cool. Otafo. Otafo. The spirit ni be aba.
Sharp.
Congratulations. Mati said Chelsea is where we need pre-season.
Hey, this is cold. This is really mean.
Oh, I'm just stating the fact. I heard this from Daniel Cranty during the news a few days ago.
So you're really teacup be all.
I want with the teacup be a cap. So everybody didn't win any cap. Who mentioned the names?
Yo, yes. I'm happy you're here, though.
Right,
you're here. Today we get to have a conversation about hepatitis B.
Right.
With a special focus on the mother-to-child transmission.
Absolutely. Right. So good afternoon to all our listeners, and it's good to be here another Wednesday. Drive Doctor. We're going to discuss very, very topical health issues.
Right.
Sometime last week, was World Hepatitis Day. I think it was always the last week in July. It's set aside as World Hepatitis Day, and we seek to draw a lot of attention to the disease hepatitis. And hepatitis is both the name of a disease, and then the causative agent also goes by the same name. So oftentimes you would hear hepatitis B disease and then hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C disease and then hepatitis C virus. So what is hepatitis? Hepatitis simply means inflammation of the liver. And when we talk about viral hepatitis, then we're talking about inflammation of the liver caused by one of 5 different viruses. So there are different viral agents that can cause the inflammation of the liver.
Of which one is called hepatitis?
No, so hepatitis, yes. So hepatitis means inflammation.
Yeah.
That inflammation can be caused by different agents. So you've got viruses as a group.
Oh, right.
And then under the viruses, you've got A, B, C, D, and E. But you've also got chemical agents and medicines like paracetamol. That can also cause hepatitis. I spent some time at a poison center in New York, and kwame hono ompese college for no omunya broken heart na opeso Jesus or they down a lot of paracetamol and then wash it down with some Jack Daniels, and then they blast away their liver. So we take paracetamol for granted here in our part of the world, but people commit suicide with it.
Wow.
And it can really cause damage to your liver if you take it in very, very high doses. So there are medicines that can cause hepatitis, that can cause the inflammation. But for the public and for the campaign and the World Hepatitis Day, the focus really is on viral hepatitis. All right. And then there are the 5 different viruses that we know about. The alphabets are used to represent them: hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. By far, the commonest and the ones that are giving us problems, public health problems, are B and C. So in 2015, the WHO, World Health Organization, estimated that 257 million people around the world, lived with chronic hepatitis B. And I'll go to explain that in a bit. The difference between the acute hepatitis B disease and then the chronic hepatitis B disease. But there were 257 million people living with it. Fast forward 2019, 296. But then in May 2016, the WHO at the World Health Assembly of 2016 adopted a global health sector strategy on viral hepatitis. And the decision or the target was the elimination of viral hepatitis by 2030. So that was the decision they took based on the 2015 estimate of 257 million people living with chronic hepatitis B. Then by 2019, we realized that we now have, the estimate stood at 296. although we had adopted a strategy, global health sector strategy on viral hepatitis, which said elimination of viral hepatitis as a public health threat by 2030. So if that trajectory continues, or we continue on that particular trajectory, then we're not going to meet that target in 2030. So then there had to be a new plan. We had to relook things. And then that is what pushed that mother to child transmission. We realized that a lot of the chronic hepatitis B conditions were happening because those adults who suffered chronic hepatitis B first acquired the infection when they were below 5 years. A lot of them below the age of 5. So if that was what was happening, then tackling the problem at birth through the use of vaccines and then antiviral agents for pregnant women probably will do the trick in terms of cutting down the numbers of children who are infected with the virus, who then go on to develop chronic hepatitis, who then go on to develop the complications of primary liver cancer and then something we call cirrhosis of the liver. So when we talk about chronic hepatitis B, Lexis, what we mean is that the virus still can be found in your blood 6 months after the first, or what we call the acute infection.
Okay.
So this virus enters your body, and because your bloodstream should not have any microorganisms, the presence of the virus in your blood is an infection. When we get the infection, the virus can actually have an incubation period between 30 and 180 days. The incubation period is that time between infection and the onset of symptoms. So in that period, or that is a very quiescent period, that nothing is happening, the individual may not know that they have the infection unless they are tested in a medical laboratory, because you don't have any symptoms. And that incubation period, again, I state, ranges from 30 days all the way to 180 days. That's 1 month to 6 months. That could be the incubation period. So you get infected today, you may not have any symptoms for the next 6 months.
Wow.
So most people even miss the what do you call it? The circumstances of the infection. You ask them about the risky behaviors that they undertook, and they may not recall. So how is hepatitis B virus transmitted? Well, most commonly, this virus, hepatitis B virus, is transmitted from mother to child during labor and delivery. That is the most common route that we know. And that is why we saw that a lot of the adults who had chronic hepatitis B infection, meaning the infection persisted 6 months following the acute infection, a lot of them got infected when they were below 5 years. So, Kwame, I'll state that again. Commonly transmitted from mother, a pregnant mother, to the unborn child during labor and delivery. Again, contact through blood and other body fluids, particularly semen and vaginal fluid, is also another route of or mechanism of infection. So if you are sharing needles, if you are using unsafe injections, and sometimes healthcare institutions are liable when we are not. These days we are supposed to just use single-use injections, but Kwame, I don't know, when we were kids, when you go into the clinic, there's an injection room. Then the needles are in the boiler, and then they will pick it out, cock it, and then you get your shot. So when I was young, we used to reuse, but now that should not be the case. But I wouldn't say that is happening across board in all healthcare institutions. So that's what we mean by unsafe injections, and then also exposures to sharp instruments. So people are breaking their nails. I see it in town. People are walking through the markets. They are doing these pedicure, manicure things, and whether they are sterilized, because they are going from person to person, shop to shop, market stall to market stall, and they are doing offering these services, whether they are sterilizing the equipment. I must mention that the hepatitis B virus can stay outside of the body for 7 days. As long as 7 days. So when it can be on that blade, it can be on that whatever device you are using for the pedicure, manicure, for as long as 7 days, and then you use it on another person, and then it is transmitted. So these are the mechanisms of transmission of hepatitis B virus. Now your immune system, and I think because of COVID, all of us are now experts in the immune system in Ghana and then around the world. Your immune system is the one that does the fight for you, Kwame. So it will fight anything that is foreign inside of you. So once the organism enters your body, your immune system goes to work and attempts to destroy the virus. 95% of the time it is, or 90% of the time it is very successful at doing that. 9 out of 10. It will wipe out the virus. But we realize that in a small percentage, particularly those who get the infection in the first 5 years of life, meaning from the time they are born up to their 5 years, the infection tends to persist. And once you go beyond the 6-month time window, then we'll describe it as chronic infection. Those individuals, most of the time the infection will be there, nothing happens. But a few of that group who have chronic infection, they develop something we call hepatocellular carcinoma, or primary liver cancer. Liver cancer. So the reason why we are so much afraid, or we think that this is a public health threat, is exactly because of that. The development of liver cancer, because you develop chronic hepatitis B infection, because you had an acute infection, most likely before you were 5 years, and your immune system was not able to deal with it. So Kwame, that's the sequence. You get an infection, most often pass on from the pregnant woman to the unborn child. The immune system, because it is weak, your immune system is poorly developed in the first 5 years of life. You are not able to deal with it. Then you develop chronic hepatitis B infection, and then a small percentage of the people left untreated will go on to develop liver cancer.
What are some of the symptoms?
Well, the acute phase, or the moment you get the infection, as I mentioned, during that incubation period, no symptoms. So you are asymptomatic. And it can go on for 6 months. Then when you get what we call the acute hepatitis B infection, where your immune system is really trying to get rid of it, then you get what we call non-specific symptoms. Nausea, vomiting, body aches, headaches. You may get a fever. So these are some of the very non-specific things. And then what everybody knows, the yellowing of the eyes. If you're a light-skinned person or in white people, then you may actually get yellowing of the skin. But in dark-colored individuals, people with melanin like us, then you'd get, it's the eyes that we look at.
Is that what we call the jaundice?
Exactly, Kwame, the jaundice. All right, the yellowing of the white of the eye is the jaundice. So, and then you may get a dark discoloration of the urine, of the urine as well. I must say that you can get malaria and you get all of these symptoms. Get malaria and get all of these symptoms. And that is why these days, for example, we say that if you have, people will tell me, oh, doctor, I have malaria symptoms because I have got a fever, I've got chills, body aches, headache, I'm vomiting, I can't eat, I have malaria. They go to the community pharmacy and then get artesunate amodiaquine or whatever it is. You may have had an episode of viral hepatitis. And that is why we're pushing that everybody will test before they treat for malaria.
Right.
More often than not, it is not. So these are the symptoms of the acute infection.
Okay.
Then your body gets over it and it doesn't show you any other symptoms. you recover, you are discharged, you go home. So your doctors must have a high diagnostic acumen, to suspect viral hepatitis, particularly when you get the yellowing of the eyes or you get the dark discoloration of the urine. Then your doctors should really screen you for hepatitis B infection if their laboratory services is able to do that.
Yeah.
Because if not, you treat for malaria. It may be that just your immune system took care of it, you got well, but then you develop chronic hepatitis B infection.
Okay.
But I mean, those who develop the chronic hepatitis B infection, they don't have symptoms. They don't have symptoms. They get well and then they go home.
Yeah.
It is during screening events. So medical hospital, anytime we do our public health events and all of that, hepatitis B screening is one of the things that we do routinely, especially for our school health program. We do hepatitis, and we pick up a lot. So then a lot of people are stunned when we tell them that they've got hepatitis B positive.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're like, but I'm fine. Yes. You probably don't remember when you got the acute infection. Your immune system dealt with it partially. So you got well, but the virus is still in your blood. 80% of the people, or a large number of people, the virus remains quiet in their blood. They can transmit it to another person if they give them a blood transfusion, if they engage in unprotected sex with somebody who's not been vaccinated. But they will not fall sick until later on. A few of those individuals develop liver cancer, and that is a very, very downward spiral, a race to the bottom, if you like, when you develop cancer or cirrhosis of the liver.
Well, since our focus is on the prevention of mother-to-child transmission, what's really the strategy?
Right.
Or what are the things we should note?
Right. So, since we know that a lot of the risk group is children who are born with it, then we want to look at the pregnant women. So the first thing we do with our antenatal program, and one of the good things in Ghana is our antenatal clinic program in Ghana. We've got one of the best globally. We score very good points for it. Coverage is high, penetration is high. So all pregnant women who come to the hospital for antenatal service because they are pregnant, everybody gets screened for hepatitis B. Then those who are determined to be positive, we will then do something we call the viral load. We want to determine, because the number of copies of the virus that you have, that's what we mean by the viral load. At a certain threshold, then your chances of transmitting it is very high. So if you've got a high viral load, then your transmissibility of the virus is also high. If you've got a low viral load, although you are positive, your transmissibility is low. So we try and sort out the pregnant women into these two groups, those with low viral loads and those with high viral loads. Those with the high viral load, if you go beyond that threshold, then you will get antiretroviral therapy. So there's medication, tenofovir, it's an antiviral drug that will put the patient on from 28 weeks, when they are 28 weeks pregnant, or around 7 months, for simplicity. 28 weeks onwards, up until delivery. Then, the day your child is born, there are some options. We'll call what we call the at-birth dose. So, hepatitis B vaccination is part of our early childhood vaccination program in Ghana. You get 3 doses, starting at 6 weeks, 10 weeks, and I think 14 weeks. But now we're trying to push what we call the at-birth dose. That the day you are born, the first 24 hours, you should get the first dose of hepatitis B vaccine for the newborn. And then you have 2 or 3 more doses subsequently, and that completes the vaccination schedule.
Okay.
There is also something we call an antibody preparation, but that is a bit more expensive so it's not commonly available, but sometimes we prescribe that as well. We give that to the mother very close to the her expected date of delivery, and then we give it to the infant as well. So this strategy will be rolled out to every woman, pregnant woman, who reports at any antenatal clinic across this country. I think a lot of the testing, we use what we call the rapid diagnostic test kit.
Okay.
You don't need a microscope. You don't need electricity. It's just like the pregnancy test kit, 2 lines, and then say, well, okay. So then people will know and have the same thing as well for the hepatitis B. So across the length and breadth of this country, we are able to do that. So that is what we call the prevention of mother to child transmission, PMTCT.
Great. And I'm sure at Medicas you do more comprehensive testing and treatment as well, right?
So we do all of the testing from the basic screening. We will do the viral load as well. And then, Kwame, the good news is that we've also got the vaccines available for adults and then for newborns as well.
Great.
So if you reach out to us, we'll put you in touch, and then we will offer comprehensive care in respect of.
What's the number to reach you on?
Right. So the number is 0501 477 340. Those who want to reach us on WhatsApp, it's the same number, 0501 477 340. We're very active on our social media platforms. Our Twitter handle is @MedicasGH. Same for Instagram, and then on Facebook, it's Medicas Hospital.
Dr. Yaw Osafo is the CEO of Medicas Hospital. Drive Doctor. Thank you so much, Doc. I'm grateful. Great spending time with you here on Drive Time. It's 5 o'clock. Let's find out what's happening in news.